Yeah, and it's hard to tell why they've gone for the techies, and it really puts into question, I think, the tiny. Simply, it could
Mm,
just be Excel techies. It could just be a 5 techies, which makes a whole lot more sense because then you get the keep the fort tiny, you keep the maybe off lane Nature's Prophet, maybe not off lane Nature's Prophet. But I don't know. It's strange. It's weird. It's great versus Pango, but
mm,
it's quite bad versus Rubik and Skyreth Mage. Heroes that, well, maybe Rubik's a little bit better of an answer with telekinesis, but a lot of times you just go in with the suicide and then die, and Alliance are not messing around. They keep the robust heroes coming. They pick another really annoying hero here for Vitaly to play. One of his best as well. I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical right now for sure. I think Alliance are kind of drafting to a T here where Thunder Awaken are giving their opponents a little bit of wiggle room.
mm-hmm. We'll have to see what the plan is for the techies, who ends up playing it, because honestly, I I do not think I know between Michael and Excel which of them has more experience playing techies. It's not a hero really either one of them have touched all that often for pretty good reason. They are incredibly skilled at a lot of other heroes who fit into the meta infinitely better, but we'll find our answer one way or another here. But now for Thunder Awaken, you start looking at the carry pool. Kind of the same position that we were in the last time around. And the bans are going to look kind of similar here too. They start with a TA once again.
Yeah, it just makes sense. And we'll see if maybe the Morphling band comes out as well. Just keep it in line. I feel like for Alliance though, probably see them loop back around for maybe the Monkey King ban out. Just look at Knight's hero pool, even though you don't really want to, just because there is that flexibility where this could just be Knight's hero and it is just Prophet. They could be looking for an offlaner, but it's a call that you have to make. I could see Alliance splitting the bans here. Do like the ban, protecting the Beastmaster against the Pudge, something we have not seen many teams do when the Pudge does come out and then just turns the Beastmaster lane into a mess. But very appropriate, Alliance. I like it. I like
Mm-hmm.
it.
Meanwhile, for Thunder Awaken, the Morph ban does come out again, so not going to let Kataro play that one. However, this has left Kataro's Terror Blade in the pool, which is not really different from last time around, because Alliance.LATAM themselves banned that TB away, but last time they didn't have last overall pick. So that could be something in his wheelhouse. I don't think it particularly counters anything on the Thunder Awaken side, but it's an incredibly familiar hero for Kataro himself, as the ban does come through on the Troll Warlord. Fair enough. I mean, we saw what Smiling Knight was able to accomplish with that hero last time.
Yeah, and I do wonder now if they wanted another Illich hero, they could just look for the Visage, run a Visage tiny lane, they just
Mm,
profit techies in the safe lane, yada yada yada, and then they just look to up the tempo on you. If they don't want to do that, there's still, let's say, a Tide Hunter in the pool. If we're still looking for offlaners, even though we might already be out of that realm. But I do wonder if this is just going to be Illich NP. We haven't seen a lot of offlane Nature's Prophet as this tournament's gone on. We saw a lot in the first 2 days and then just steeply dropped off. We stopped seeing the Ags build come out. Everybody just turned it into the carry, which makes sense. Getting a, 17, 18-minute Gleipnir is pretty ridiculous, but we'll have to see because Thunderwaken are waiting here, and they are certainly looking to not fall into that same trap. They don't want to pick a hero into an absolutely losing matchup. Thankfully, I think they've banned out and moved past a lot of them,
mm,
and that's kind of what Drow does as well. Just a hero that doesn't lose the lane outright is a solid pickup no matter what. You can't really counterpick a Drow Ranger aside from hoping you pick another hero to get on top of her, and you can certainly look for it. The one hero I hope they don't pick, though, is Katara Spectre. Respect it, like it, but don't want them to get too caught up in this mentality of getting on top of the NP, the Drow, the Ember. And yeah,
okay.
CK, another great Katara hero, but is an initiator, is not reliant on Haunt, is not a kind of bad hero, and it's one of Katara's best.
Mm-hmm. He's durable. He can initiate. He can do damage. And now this is the thing I think that they played well with for a lot of game one. Analog on the Pangolier in particular, but Pangos in general. You really don't like to have to initiate with the Rolling Thunder, right? You like coming in once the fight's already started and you have your targets locked down and sort of in your sights already. So having a Beastmaster and a CK should give him really free reign to pick the exact place and time that he wants to push in for the damage.
Yeah. And when those ultimates are committed, Katara can still fight because he's got KS Bolt. His cooldowns are much lower. He gets to create plays, especially with El Micho, which is something that I think Alliance were definitely lacking in the previous game. He really had a partner in Gardic, but having the support duo, walk around, even if you get those kills, it just ends up feeding the supports even more, which, it's good in its own way, but it's just not as easy to execute. And, we'll see, because I think they definitely need to make those few easy plays, and they've got some interesting lanes, but if they give Knight too much time to farm, that's kind of how the tournament has gone. You give Knight too much time, you give him too much farm, and he wins the game. That's just how he is. That's not just because he's too good, I feel like, almost.
Certainly stable, consistent, reliable, whatever phrase you want to use there. Not always flashy, but hey, sometimes you don't need flashy from your carry. Sometimes you just need him to put his head down and get done what needs to be done. So
rare kindness.
We shall see how this one plays out. Alliance.LATAM down 0-1 in this best of 2. Now, we mentioned earlier on, they do need points, and as we also mentioned, this is technically not a must-win. There is still a way for them to make it through. However, they've got 3 games remaining, including this one. If they win all 3 ET, then they're guaranteed at least a tiebreaker, at the very worst. And then we'd have to look into what Dreamers do, who has the higher Neustadt score, but they would at least get that tiebreaker. There's no way that they could be eliminated outright if they win all 3. But that does mean that they've got to get it in gear, take this game at least.
Yeah, definitely. And like we said before, Alliance.LATAM do not want to go out early. This is where they had to make some adjustments. We get the horrible news that they've lost Lumiere at the beginning of this tournament, but the core is still there. They want some of that prize money. I can only be certain of. They want something to do, but they also want to be back in those proving grounds. They went to DI. They qualified. They went and participated in the SEA BTS Pro Series. Got 3rd there. They do not want to go out early in Phase 2 of BTS Pro Series 14. That would just be, I think, too much for especially Gardic's heart to handle. He's played too many of these to go out right now.
Yeah, it was a meteoric rise for Alliance.LATAM, and they're hoping to forestall a fall back down into that sort of Tier 2 range. And that is definitely something worth mentioning. For these teams who are still in the running, Thunder Awaken obviously already punched their ticket, so they kind of know what's up. But if you get to Phase 3, right, the teams who are directly invited, Shopify Rebellion, Nouns, Beast Coast, those are the big boys. Those are your chances to go up against D1 teams, to go up against, well, minus Nouns, teams that are going to the major. So a real opportunity to prove your stuff, or maybe for some of the teams that were in the same region, maybe a shot at revenge.
Yeah, and I think that is honestly the coolest part of BTS Pro Series and these tournaments in general during the Div 2 season, is we get to see the NA versus SA. We get to see the top 2 of each region participate, especially once we get into that playoff bracket, which is something that you don't see until the major typically. So we get a little bit of a flash of what that could look like and what that matchup especially could look like, as well as Beast Coast, they finally beat EG. They finally beat Thunder Awaken. They got their revenge. They're starting to feel good, look good. Maybe it's just the Dark Mago effect, Who knows? Who knows?
Well, if you can't tell, we are looking forward to the playoffs. But let's reel it back a little bit, ET. You and I got excited, but we still have some Phase 2 action to sort of make it through. But it's the first 2 minutes of the laning stage. There's not a crazy amount going on here, but still worth looking at some of these matchups. In the bottom lane first, Illich and Michael, a nice little combo they could put together here, right? Avatos, toss back, you've got the Sprout play, but I mean, Kataro's already got a Quelling Blade. Gardic doesn't have one himself, but I don't really know if you can kill the CK off here, especially once he starts getting some of those stat items up. Maybe a situation where they have to try and bully the Rubik instead.
Yeah, really, all they have to be careful about are those denies. Illich very naturally will kind of be the king of last hitting, as Nature's Prophet kind of does, just because of how much damage you have, how great your attack animation is, and that you've got 2 treants also last hitting for you. So it just ends up kind of working out here as, yeah, top. Well, it just works. They kill the techies. Really low on El Misho, but doesn't matter. And El Misho, he's already making moves for the suicide. He's got boots picked up as well. See if he waits out the timer, but could just look to die to the tier 2 early.
Mm-hmm. And, well, I don't know. He might have lived even without it, but there was a little fairy fire play in there from El Misho just to make sure that the blast off did not kill him. So, good looking out from El Misho, knowing that combo's coming his way at some point. Right? Multi-shot into blast off as he does get the deny. Technically speaking, that ties it up at 1-1, but yeah, not really. But the scoreboard will say otherwise.
Yep. Perfectly weighted as well. Doesn't give any kill credits, any hero that did damage to him. So just nice stuff from El Misho, as well as picking up boots. So he is now going to be much more difficult to actually kill in that lane. He's just going to be able to kind of dance around you in the trees. Very difficult to actually walk him down now, even though with his time out of the lane, definitely gave some space over tonight. Still very annoying. Just going to get orb walked by the drown, but it could be worse.
Oh, bottom lane, though, Illich got himself into a little bit of trouble. Michael only steps out for a moment, but telekinesis into Reality Rift, into Fade Bolt is a lot of displacement and lockdown, and, well, the CK does hit hard, right? If he gets on top of you, it's not a fun time. Didn't have any sort of sprout play defensively, so Alliance get their second kill.
Yep, definitely unfortunate for Illich. Full creep wave was pushing in. It's why Michael wanted to leave him alone, because Illich wants that soul XP, but in doing so, it gave him a little bit too much space, and then he just kind of got nuked down. Something that we're used to seeing with the Chaos Knight. As Michael, yeah, rotating for the water rune. Don't know if they can get the play, but the play was still successful. They bullied him away, and the Pango actually gets a water rune in his bottle. Something that they were looking to game, and El Misho rotated for the other one. So the Ember is missing something right now.
Not a fun time for Robo Z, and interesting choice here. In terms of his skill build, the last time out when we had Burning God in this scenario, he was putting some points up into the Flame Guard. Robo Z decides that he's not going to go in that direction. 3 points in Slight, 2 points in Chains, so he doesn't quite have that sort of fallback play, although I suppose ET, with the skill that he's going for, he will do more direct damage compared to what Burning God was doing in Game 1.
Yeah, and just slightly more lockdown to play with versus the Pango. It's just valuable. As bottom lane, again, plays made, and that was a play without Gardic involved at all. No Rubik spells, just Michael still low from before, just taken out, just CK doing his own thing. Godaro knows his limits.
Especially if Illich still doesn't have a point up in the Sprout, there's really just nothing to keep him at arm's length, so go in, get yourself a little bit of a freebie. Michael does TP mid, so the bottle refill eventually comes through for your Ember Spirit, but it does take a while, and now up in the top lane, Knight did drop a little bit low, but he's able to turn around with the Gust, gets the quick kill onto El Misho, and at this point, Vitaly really doesn't have any play to make.
Yeah, very annoying. Techie's hero. No armor as well on the Skywrath Mage still, so you're just slowed for so much of that play. It's very difficult to survive, even though you do have the boots. But it's Skywrath Mage. He kind of wants to die. He used all of his mana before he goes down, and now he gets the refill his mid's bottle, so really could be worse.
Illich. Got a little bit greedy there. They got the Rubik so low in HP, but they try to chase into the trees. All the while, Katara was just smacking the absolute crap out of the Nature's Prophet, and Illich is not able to secure the kill and goes down for it.
Yeah. Kataro, just can't praise him enough. Just doing incredibly solid stuff on the CK. Think he's going for the early armlet as well, and we'll see, because Kataro has been known to go for Midas after the armlet, just so that way he doesn't fall too behind on his actual levels, because as everybody knows, CK is a hard farmer. He has to work for his last hits. It's not like he buys a Battle Fury. It's not like he eventually has one of those natural steroids. He's one of those very kind of work for everything you got type of heroes that Midas definitely makes a little bit easier. But if he doesn't go for it, then he's just going to go for those early timings instead. Sanjunyasha, Armlet, Blink Dagger, Echo Saber, all that good stuff.
This is a little bit of an interesting move. Analog rotates his way top, and they didn't really go for any sort of kill play. They pushed Knight off the tower, sure, but they couldn't find any sort of initiation. They couldn't get significant damage on the tower. El Misho now gets caught as Robo-Z rotates over, and just kind of a weird maneuver overall. And you do see Analog trying to make a beeline back mid, hoping to maybe get a wave or two before the Ember Spirit returns, but the Ember had a Remnant 3/4 of the way back, so you don't even really fake out the Ember Spirit all that much. It's just kind of a weird move. And now in the bottom lane, Kataro tried to take advantage of the fact that he was in the 1v1, but he isn't able to finish that kill before Michael TP's in.
Yeah, and that's also where, unfortunately, when you are in the 1v1 with Nature's Prophet, it's never really a 1v1. Because you've got the treants. You can pull the large camp for yourself. You can get control of the creep waves. You can fulfill the role of your fort position with those trees when you're microing them. And it makes it really hard for Kataro to actually keep up. Because the creep waves just gets pushed forward, a little bit too far forward for him to actually do what he wants to do. And then you end up feeding a lot of XP for free into Illich, who is still a real easy kill if Kataro can find him, but just kind of difficult. And of course, the closer Illich gets to that level 6, that's going to be his first big rotational play with that Wrath of Nature. Comes every single time we see this Nature's Prophet, just a matter of when it comes.
Oz comes out here from the Thunder Awaken side. We see a little bit of a potential setup here in the middle lane. Gardic has made his way over, trying to soak up some XP while Analog gets through the stacked camps off to the west, but Michael is in a good wraparound position. This ward gives them full vision over the Rubik. It's just a matter of whether Robo-Z wants to go in, but I mean, he's got Slight in 1 second. Searing Chains is there. He's got full Remnants up, so unless there's some sort of immediate TP play, this looks like a kill they should be able to connect with pretty easily.
Yeah, might just be kind of too little too late situation for Gardic, but Gardic's level 5.5. Man, he's been getting all the XP. I think he was the one who was able to anchor down mid slightly whenever Analog went on his world tour, even though still thinking about the kind of weirdness that was, but that's what happens. I think he just ganked just maybe half a level too early. Vitaly didn't have Primal Roar at the time, so it's kind of awkward to gank your offlaner's lane when your offlaner doesn't have level 6 and El Misho is not on a Rubik or a Tiny or somebody that can displace or move somebody back. You know, it's just a Skywrath Mage, so the play is very difficult. But Knight has also already started to move away from the lane. He kind of knows what's coming. Is interesting, though, because he's moving away from the lane when the Helm of the Dominator is still 500 gold away, which is usually the kind of tipping point for wanting to lane versus Beastmaster, but he's giving a lot of respect over to that Primal Roar and just not wanting to give up a kill early, and also not killing Excel, because if he stays in the lane, then Excel has to stay in the lane, and Excel is a much easier kill than he is.
Oh, well, they're gonna give this a go anyway, but Robo-Z actually didn't hit with the chains, so Gardic's gonna get it. No, okay. Gets a chance, but Light of Fist, very strong, maxed out. Who needs Searing Chains if you just do so much damage that you get the kill anyway? But this is going to come at a slight cost. That tier 1 tower being taken. Maybe this is the reason why the Drow stepped out as early as she did, as you mentioned. Might have seen this kind of push coming, and honestly, getting that push without the Dom-Helmed creep is pretty nice on the timing, but Vitaly still needs to pick that item up pretty quickly because they lose a tower over on the other side. Tier 1 taken down. Analog attempted to get into position, but couldn't save it.
Yeah, and it happens just as fast. Just the Nature's Prophet effect. You show a few too many heroes, you displace your mid-tower defender as Michael goes down deep in Radiant territory. Just kind of in over his head a little bit. Thought he was safe with the ward, but Katara snuck up on him. But this map's going to be kind of awkward for Alliance to play now. With that mid-tier 1 gone, they lose their kind of easiest way to farm. They would love to smoke into top and stop Knight from farming, but now they're going to shift a lot of that effort into actually defending their bottom tier 1, just because it's a place to find a fight, a place to actually fight around, but it is a little bit weird, as well as this great ward scouting out any aggression on a Robo-Z in 10-minute rune. Doesn't end up spawning anywhere, even though the Ember's going to fight for it, and Michael's going to give his life for it.
Yeah. Well, Robo-Z at least grabs it. Invis rune now in hand, but yeah, Michael's the one who had to make the sacrifice, and Kitaro gets the kill. He's 5-0 now, so I mean, he may not be going for that Midas play ET that we see him kind of look for on a lot of his heroes, but the progress is very impressive, and now he's trying to even up the count here on the towers. Got a long way to go to do that, though. This is basically a full health tier 1, but his teammates are in position, really running Thunder Awaken out of their defensive alignment at this point. Okay, Proximine's stolen. It's going to help out their damage a little bit onto this tower. And that actually does force the glyph as well. A glyph that won't be refreshed. So Thunder Awaken tipping their hands a little bit here. They're going to want to try to defend this.
Yeah, but it's still coming. Kitaro is getting lower and lower, but tower will go down. They'll let the creeps take down. No deny attempt either, but them using their glyph is going to make it a lot more difficult to defend this top tier 2. It's where they're actually going to have to bring bodies when they do want to make that defense happen. Ilch does get the trade, though. He makes sure to even up the towers. He still gives them a little bit of that advantage, but I think they just ran out of gas in the tank. Ilch didn't have his ulti in that instance. Would have had to wait a little bit longer. Now he does have his ulti, so we should see a fight break up pretty soon, but Illich is also trying to get that Aghanim Scepter as fast as possible. Then he can really break open a lot of these team fights. And the Thunder Awaken right now, decide for a smoke. They'd love to cross the river. They're also trying to get Robo-Z onto this 12-minute rune, so here's the play. El Misho looks so dead.
Yep. They get the quick pick off there. Analog, though, is still pushing forward, but I don't know if that's a great idea. Losing health, silenced up, doesn't get the chance to roll, and he's dead. Very weird sort of choice to make there. He saw two. Thought maybe he could still sneak in there, grab the rune, and roll out anyway, but that was obviously not the case.
Yeah, and Thunder Awaken, they're using 3 lanes right now. This is kind of illegal, but it's just a very nice play. And Excel 100% baiting just made it happen. And this is before the Ag Shard timing. Now Excel's probably going to be able to just breed out and look for that next big uptick. Definitely scary. Definitely a little troublesome. As well as Kitaro has kicked his Beastmaster out. Vitaly is now kind of forced to play Beastmaster upside down. He's in what feels kind of like the wrong lane, but it was just the open lane at the time. So the map is definitely being played a little bit awkwardly, or more awkwardly here from Alliance. And you're splitting farm with Knight, who is just still farming, is still incredibly farmed. He has to share with the Nature's Prophet, of course, but a Nature's Prophet that is as far away as kind of humanly possible right now, and only 400 gold away from that Ags.
Yeah, they're splitting farm, but they're splitting the farm that one hero in particular would not have been able to claim in its entirety. So, still able to spread the map. Solid stuff for them. Knight is going to look for the Hurricane Pike upgrade, and oh, after that, has the shard queued up, so could be a scenario where we see, you know, once the shard is there, once the Pike is finished, once the Ags is picked up, all of Thunder Awaken are going to start looking to be very much involved in team fights moving forward. And on the Alliance.LATAM side of things, are they prepared for those fights? Kitaro is getting his Echo Saber up, so it's at least going to be relatively useful. Analog just got a Diffusal Blade, and Helm of the Overlord is not quite coming in the immediate future, but we'll have to wonder if that's enough. Is Michael trying to fight for the rune? He doesn't get it, but he does force Gardic to take it, which I guess is just kind of a consolation prize, but it's better than nothing, but he does have to die for it again.
Yeah, it counts for something, but is definitely not your ideal, but could be worse. It could have maybe gone for a TP as well, but Gardic just steals one of Tiny's stuns, meaning that he can't TP out in front of the Rubik. Just a nice aspect of playing Rubik versus Tiny, even though you definitely want Avalanche instead. But the Ags is done. Nature's Prophet wants a fight. Illich is going to look for some type of engagement. Ideally, they get something with this ward placed bottom. They would love Vitali, especially on the wave, but kill's a little bit too difficult, as well as El Misho being the living ward right now, just playing in front of his teammate.
Yeah. Scouting out for wards, scouting out for proximity mines, just generally trying to make life easier, but here comes the play. Smoke pops quickly, though, and Robo-Z does not connect with the chains. Good instinct to try and throw those out. They do eventually run into El Misho, but El Misho will gladly give his life, especially if it means they could set up onto Illich. Kitaro is marching his way forward, but... yeah. A, he's probably not fast enough to close the gap in time, and B, he saw last hits that he very much values more than chasing a Prophet into the woods.
Yeah, and Rubik stole Wrath of Nature. A pretty big steal. Of course, level 1 Wrath of Nature isn't the scariest, but with the Spell Amp could definitely factor into some of these team fights, even though Gardic just pops it for farm. But even that, it's going to matter a little bit. Getting farm on Rubik is always going to feel pretty darn nice. As they are closing the gap here, misses the Centaur stump onto Excel, though, and this fight's getting a little bit complicated.
Well, Michael's able to get in there, throws down the Avalanche. He will go down in the river. Excel, meanwhile, was roared and finished off to the south, so that's both the supports dead, but they want onto Robo-Z, and Robo-Z is able to use the Sleight of Fist to, well, avoid the Reality Rift. That was a little bit of a weird interaction, but it keeps him safe, and you lose heroes on Thunder Awaken, but the two heroes you could honestly afford to lose there.
Yeah, just the supports in over their heads a little bit. Placed a ward as well. They kind of know what's going on. This is a nice play, though. Yet again, Alliance, very wisely, just forcing into the pit. Pre-Helm of the Overlord as well, just knowing that they've got the bodies, they've got the lifesteal to make this happen with just the Vlads. You know, this is going to be a free first Aegis. Same time as last game as well, 16 minutes in. Just very aware of their power spike. Even though Thunder Awaken are looking for the team fight, they've got Illich's ulti, they've got the Nature's Wrath, and it's coming through.
Oh, starting to hit. Roots come through, but not in a spot that Thunder Awaken could immediately sort of pounce on, so it does at least allow them to pull back, reset, take stock of what they want to do now, because there is an Aegis up on that Chaos Knight, but I think they were hoping for maybe a bit more of an opening to actually push in.
Yeah, miss out on an opportunity, maybe ever so slightly, but could be worse. Get a little bit of a reset now. Gonna bide their time just a little bit here, but biding their time is kind of exactly what Thunder Awaken want to do. They want to give Knight more space. Needs a lot of items. Still working on that Ag Shard, but eventually he will be able to fight a little bit more. Same for Illich. Still looking for a Maelstrom into BKB probably, while the supports, yeah, is going to happen. Excel, just forward, gets killed by the high ground ward, but they're looking for some revenge. Now, Kitaro is a tough kill, but that's a 4v1.
Yep. They're going to try and take it. They have to get through 2 lives, though, so this will buy time for reinforcements to get here. And Thunder Awaken deciding, let's not risk it. Probably for the best. Analog wants to force him, though. There's the inhibit. The Mystic Flare is going to do some extra bit of work there, even though, again, the flare itself kind of disappears visually, but they get the kill. Robo-Z goes down, and Analog really took a great angle there. An angle where nobody sort of saw him coming until it was too late, so he's able to sneak in, find an extra kill. BKB is now finished on the Ember Spirit, but obviously he wished he had that 15 seconds ago.
Yeah, definitely, but, you know, could be worse, and there is a glyph top for Thunder Awaken if they want to delay up this push a little bit. Cast it maybe a little bit early, because it's not going to clear out this creep wave now, or it's going to be a little close, but yeah, going to push in now, and this is the first trade of the game. Alliance definitely playing with a little bit of an advantage here. They're going to seal that outpost now, going to try and maintain as much of the map as possible. They have to respond to the trees pushing into bottom, but they also see that the Pango's left, so Robo-Z wants this fight. They're really going to look for it. Kitaro just got his BKB, though. He's the absolute worst target for Thunder Awaken to find. And Thunder Awaken are going to miss out on that opportunity.
They do maintain control of their outpost, at least, so they've got that going for themselves. But yeah, Robo-Z not able to catch anyone out in a situation where the Pangolier would not have been available, so it's unfortunate, but Knight just goes right back to farming. He's got that shard. Now he's looking for a BKB, and... well, if the Drow gets a BKB, there is very little that she has to be all that afraid of. As of right now, the Roar will still go through it, but... well, that leaves really, what, one hero who's going to have to be able to track her down. So, it'll make Thunder Awaken feel a lot safer about these fights. Of course, the downside, ET, is that if you go for the BKB here, Knight's damage output is going to maybe not look as high as you would normally expect, but well, Knight's teammates are certainly pulling their own weight on that front. Gardic gets taken down, Almisho falls as well, so...
A loud mouth betrays a lack of skill.
they are hitting hard here. Analog is fallen back. Does need to take, realistically, probably a trip all the way back to heal up, but... I don't know if he really does want to leave just yet. In fact, he's TPing bottom, not going back to base, trying to protect his towers. But now if you're Thunder Awaken, do you make a move? You should have seen Analog just TP down here, but... not really going all in for that one.
No, decide to be a little bit more patient, but patience is still going to pretty heavily give that advantage over to Thunder Awaken. There's just so much more growth, so much more time. The supports are still struggling, though. Excel and Michael is still trying to get a foot in this game, even though you got the shard picked up on the techies pretty recently. Michael just farmed up a small camp, the enemy small camp, so he's got his blink dagger, so it's a lot easier for them to make plays now, but 21 minutes, it's been real tough for them to do kind of anything at this point. You can see it in their kills and assists, really. The cores have been making more of their own plays than they have been on their own, just because they can't really. It's been tough, but trades still happen, and with so many heroes showing bottom, Illich gets the tier 1 top. Illich is always in a position to make those punishes, those trades happen, which is very nice. Of course, benefit of that hero. It's very unique in what he can provide on the map. So you gotta be careful, though. Now, Alliance have moved into this bottom area, get the very important word here. And with the Excel, knowing that he's dead, respawning, isn't able to get out and get any D-wards going just yet. This is another tier 2. A tier 2 that they can glyph, but this push is here. And Thunder Awaken still aren't really moving just yet. The smoke finally comes through, but depending on how it breaks, that could break up this fight.
And Gardic steps in front. He is going to eat the majority of the damage there at the start as Michael gets hit up by the Mystic Flare, and that is not quite what Thunder Awaken had been hoping for when they went for that smoke play. And Alliance, where's their creep wave? It is actually a little ways back, so they do have to wait for a moment or two, but with the way they're positioning ET, they're not going to give up. They want the tower, and I think they suspect Excel's in the area too, but that's not the hero to go looking for the techies. So Almisho just kind of wanders in, gets picked off, and well, now that Alliance.LATAM realize there's multiple heroes here, they decide to back off and not push for that tower.
Yeah, it looked like a weird play from Knight at first because he missed the first few pulses of that multi-shot, but Excel makes it work, and the Pango did not want to go in too deep. Didn't have his Rolling Thunder anyway, so it kind of felt like they were making a play that they didn't have any real right to actually make there. And now Gem picked up by Excel. They're going to get this D-word going, and the tower doesn't go down either. So really kind of weird stuff. More time, more farm, more net worth given over to Thunder Awaken. Haven't really seen them ever try to kill Illich as well on the other side of the map, despite him playing so isolated from the rest of his team. And it's paid off. He's got a Gleipnir. He's the root king right now. Still needs a BKB to really confidently stand in a lot of these team fights, but his ability to farm and fight is just drastically increased with the amount of time he's been given.
Really going a long way towards building himself up. Meanwhile, Robo Z has his hands on a Maelstrom alongside his BKB, so teamfight-wise, Thunder Awaken are starting to look quite a bit better here. The question will still be, though, who gets the initiation? Because if Alliance.LATAM are getting in, if they're dropping a Roar, if a Reality Rift Chaos Bolt combo comes out from Kitaro, they could still get caught out pretty damn quickly, but who makes the move? 5-man smoke from Alliance, so there's your answer. They're going to maneuver their way. I was going to say south initially, but they're actually moving east, which could get them right on top of Knight. And, well, there's going to be your BKB. Hurricane Pike deployed as well. At this point, if you're Alliance.LATAM, you don't want to continue chasing. Instead, they break off, but they're going to go right over towards the Thunder Awaken supports. Those supports, though, can't hold their own ground. They do need to try and back off. Excel will TP away. Gets silenced up at the end there, but he will make it out, and Thunder Awaken avoid the gank.
No, really smart, especially from Knight there to just keep running with the BKB going. Doesn't try for the TP. And Kataro, hunting on his own, though, gets scouted out, and he's going to lose his BKB if he's not careful.
BKB was forced. Analog, yeah. Not going to complete that TP. He does end up canceling it. So, well, Kataro gets away, but that was your 9-second charge being used off of a kind of a risky play. He really was just banking on there being zero detection in the area, which... not really sure if that's a risk worth taking, but at least he doesn't die.
Yeah, and the not earliest, but one of the earliest possible Roches ends up spawning in a situation where, well, Knight doesn't have his BKB for another 15 seconds, definitely a window, but Kataro really doesn't have his BKB, and because of that one force, that one solo play, Thunder Awaken get the second Roche of the game for free.
Aegis into the hands of Knight. Robo Z will grab the shard, so he's got that upgrade. Getting a little bit of extra damage from the remnants. And Thunder Awaken are going to look to push here, making their way top. Tier 2 tower in their crosshairs. And if you're Alliance.LATAM, yeah, nobody's getting there in time. Tower was basically already dead, but they get in, they finish it off, and now... well... ET, if you're Alliance, what do you want to do here? Do they want to fight into Aegis? Is this just their moment to back off and try to farm and wait 5 minutes?
Yeah, it kind of seems like that's what's going to happen. They got a lot of items kind of in queue right now. A little bit more damage from the Chaos Knight. Probably really wants his BKB, but
Taro's moving, and he's going to get it. No, he's not. Oh, man. There we go. Okay, Analog comes in with the swashbuckle, so they do... burn that Aegis away.
Gotta run, though.
Yeah, they gotta go. BKB is being activated. Analog actually doesn't have one. That was the roll-up. Now he's gonna go for the full Rolling Thunder. But they get out. They lose their Skywrath elsewhere on the map, but they get Techies, they get Aegis, and outside of a BKB charge, that was pretty damn smooth.
Yeah, unfortunately for Kataro, his BKB is getting down to that 6-second mark, so definitely a little unfortunate, especially because heroes like Illich and the Nature's Prophet are just getting that that BKB just much later than you are, so they're going to have those longer BKBs for those much longer team fights. But we're also seeing Illich looking up towards that 30-minute tome, looking for that level 20 talent. That's going to really be the kind of beginning of the end of this game, is whenever Illich has that route, depending on how he finds and how early he finds Analog, that could just be it. It's one of the most brutal interactions in the game. It's not fun. You touch the trees at all on that Pango, even if you kill the trees, you're just stuck. You are rooted, you're leashed, you need to get Force Staffed out, and there are Force Staffs on El Misho and Gardic, so they are prepared for that eventuality, but it's still something that's always going to be eating at the back of your brain. Even though they are confidently out onto the map, not letting that mid-wave actually cross the river is going to keep that last tier 2 alive for Radiant, so Alliance doing a good job, doing their due diligence, going to take up the outpost as well, so very clean stuff, but that's why Thunder Awaken smoke up. They say, okay, you killed our wave, we can't get that tier 2 mid, so you know what, we're going to look for you in our jungle instead. You just took our outpost, we kind of know what's going on here, and very wisely, taking the long wrap around, assuming that Alliance are going to try and place some high ground vision, even though they haven't placed anything yet. They've just got the Hawks. With the reverse smoke, well, here we go.
They did run into a mine there, so we'll see if Thunder Awaken are paying attention. As of right now, well, that certainly helps. They are going to pop the scan. They detect something's up there, and the question now is how do they respond to it, because their own smoke has dissipated. They ran out of time. Illich... very wisely TPs himself out, so smoke on smoke does not lead to any fight. Meanwhile, the creep wave pushed all the way to the tier 3, so that may have also given Thunder Awaken a little bit of warning here. Nobody came to deal with this. Nobody pushed it out, so they were very suspicious with the movements there on Alliance.LATAM.
Yeah. And that suspicion will pay off. They get to stay alive. They get to continue farming. Ooh, as the jump in from Michael, yeah. Misses the initiation, though, and actually feeds over. Now Gardic has the stolen Ava, and here's the reinitiation.
Yeah, that's brutal. Roar, Mystic Flare, even Analog with the swashbuckle at the end there to steal the kill. A hero that they could probably afford to lose. Excel is not going to be backbreaking as a missing hero, but you don't really have the numbers anymore. There was a nice little play at the end, though. Knight got in, killed off the Helm of the Overlorded creep, so he got himself some gold. Pretty much the equivalent of, I think, what the techies gave away, but Tali's got a new creep. He doesn't have Roar back up, though. 45 seconds out, so if Alliance.LATAM are looking for a fight, someone else is going to have to do the initiating.
Yeah, yet again, though, while these heroes are all posturing, Illich is pushing in 2 lanes. He has Trance in top, he has Trance in bottom. He's actually split pushing you. He's doing the Nature's Prophet thing, and he is the top net worth hero because he's been given this space. Everybody's just too busy staring each other in the eyes to really deal with these lanes, and it's a good smoke from Alliance.LATAM. They're looking for picks, but the creep pressure gets to them. They decide it's too much with the lanes coming in. Wrath of Nature flies through as well, so they feel under too much pressure, and they feel like their smoke's a little too obvious, and it kind of is. So they have to come back.
That's now 2 smokes in a row that Alliance.LATAM have used to very little effect. Let's go, Kataro. Well, he's in a good spot here if he doesn't lose too many teammates. Almisho did go down, but they're looking to take the fight anyway. Michael is getting sort of bounced around on the other side of the engagement, though, so they will finish him off. But that's all that comes of this. 1 for 1 on the supports right now. How much further do Thunder Awaken want to go? They do need to be careful. Roar's back up on Vitali. Rolling Thunder was not used by Analog either. Although his mana is not in a great spot. Might need someone to top him off if they are looking to go back in, but I don't think they will. They're just going to let this one go, but that means Thunder Awaken could push the tier 2 tower.
Yeah, I'm watching right now. Wrath of Nature flies through. Knight has his BKB still, so the Drow is very confident in standing up, as well as Robo-Z. So really, Thunder Awaken are much more prepared for this team fight than LATAM are right now. Instead, though, LATAM just decided to spread on the map a little bit, get some more farm. As Kataro, I'm watching him top right now. They know he doesn't have BKB, but he is still a very tanky boy, so feels like too much of a difficult play to be made. As the rest of Alliance, they're grouping up, they're killing off these treants, slotting in the smoke there on Amisho. Feels like another smoke's going to happen, but you already scouted out that they're grouped together, so even if they smoke, this is really less so for the surprise factor, more so for just the speed, as both teams scan out top. Somebody knows the play is happening here. They know Kataro's sticking around, but they also know that Illich is here, and Illich, 1 second BKB.
Well, Kataro, he's got his BKB back up. He will pop it. He does also have the Reality Rift talent here, but at this point, he's not really looking for the fight. He was the distraction. His teammates got in to kill Excel, but they don't know how to deal with Robo-Z, so this isn't going to really work out the way that they wanted. That's 2 kills going Thunder Awaken's way, and yeah, once again, Excel gets sacrificed, but at this point, that's his job. He's really just kind of here to die so his teammates can trade him out.
Yeah, and that's all of your BKB is gone now from Kataro. Doesn't have any more of that wiggle room. Illich still has his 8 second. He's chilling. He's got a full hex as well as soon as he gets to the secret shop, which is going to be hell for Analog. Even though the Pango just finished up his Ags, there's a huge timing for Analog. He has so much more damage in the team fight. Problem is, Thunder Awaken's not really given them team fights. Every fight has been a skirmish. It's been scrappy. It's been a pickoff that either results in Thunder Awaken getting a kill and then them escaping, or them failing to get a kill instantaneously and then getting punished, but the cores are always farming. So these skirmishes are just resulting in LATAM not getting a real big team fight that they want. And that's exactly what they kind of need to get back into this game. And yet again, a 2-second Roche respawn timer. 34 minutes into the game, that's our third Roche. Sup, buddy? With an Ag's Blessing, no less.
Mm-hmm. Well, quite a lot of value sitting in that pit. Of course, you know, the Pangolier already bought his own Aghanim Scepter, so he doesn't care in particular about that, but Alliance.LATAM definitely could just scout this out, although I think, yeah, the Hawk Vision's kind of already done that for them, but can they afford to go in? That's going to be the question. Thunder Awaken are a lot less shy about this, just kind of walking their way in, but again, that Hawk scouts this out. Alliance.LATAM know where their opponents are, and, well, now they realize the Hawk is there, but is it too late? Michael gets pulled back, not onto the high ground, though, and Kitaro kind of in no man's land. He was looking for the kill, but he is far away from his teammates, but the fight is going to break out. Analog is coming through. Vitaly throws out the roar. Knight gets locked down. They'll kill him off. They take Michael as well. And RoboZ decides it's time to go. He's got the haste, but he is going to get hit up by the Basher. Not enough to keep him locked down long term, though. He does make it away, but yeah, Illich has to pop his BKB and TP home, and Excel is kind of just left sitting there. He does get himself picked off, and Alliance.LATAM will take control of the pit. 2 supports dead on their side. A buyback expended from their Rubik, but it gets them exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, and that's where Thunder Awaken were in a little bit too far over their heads. They make that play without support buybacks. That's the real difference maker there, because our Gardic just gets immediately back into the fight. Is just another body to throw down onto the big team fight. And this is awkward. Yeah, Ag's busting on the ground. Probably should be not Vitaly's. Should be Gardic's. And we'll see if the pass happens. And yeah, Rubik's Ags is just so much better. The drums of Slom are yet to be admired, let's say, by many Dota players. To a lot of people, you know, ruined the Axis build is what that Ags is always going to be known for. But it's okay.
Yeah, it is definitely an Aghanim Scepter upgrade. You can say that 100%.
One of them of all time.
Yeah. One of the most of all time. But I don't know. I mean, I don't remember. I think we saw 1 or 2 attempts at it when it was first sort of swapped in, but most Beastmaster players kind of feel like they don't like it. So hey, instead you get Rubik. 2 spells, able to steal, right? Scepter version, cast range increase, all looking pretty good against a Thunder Awaken lineup that do have a lot of spells that Gardic would very much like to get his hands on. So they're looking good. They've got more utility. They've got Aegis. They've got a cheese on their Pangolier. That Pangolier also... Did I see that right? He bought himself a Force Staff, I believe. Yeah, so a little bit worried about that Sprout play. You were outlining just how dangerous it can be, so he does have a way out, although he has no slots, not even in his backpack, so he's got to drop something here.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to be a bootsless Pango. Of course, you know. Okay, passes the gem. That also works, but really could be a bootsless Pango. One of the heroes that really doesn't care too much about having or not having boots, considering how you actually fight. But very smart from Analog. Does need to be careful, though. Always needs to be careful. Even more so of, I think, the Reaper than if he's already prepared himself for that Sprout Leash talent. But now, I think the one who has to be the most careful is probably Kitaro, because he'll be the next target. If everybody else has a Force Staff, it's where the Beastmaster and the CK are going to be those next most likely units to be stuck in that Sprout. As playing on the ward a little bit here, Thunder Awaken are losing all of their vision to this gem right now. They're desperately trying to find something as Michael, yeah, doing a lot of damage, but also gives away his position, and he is now on the run. Ogre still totem away, gets forced away. He really is making a break for it, and it looks like it is going to work out, but still, a very scary situation to be in.
Very fortunate to get himself out of that. Meanwhile, for Gardic, able to use the self-telekinesis, as he did pick up that shard just a moment ago. So everybody walks away, everything resets, and if you're Thunder Awaken, okay, that's 30 seconds to a minute off of that Aegis, where Kitaro was just chasing after a hero that he didn't catch up to, so you're okay with him buying some time. Meanwhile, Knight is just arming away, very close to a Lincoln Sphere here, so we mentioned the number of things that can actually affect him in BKB are pretty small. If you have a Lincoln's, it becomes even smaller, but Basher on Analog could honestly just kind of do him in regardless.
Well, as well as the level 20 talent from Kitaro. Reality Rift Piercing Spell Immunity it really could just be as simple as pops BKB, gets Reality Rifted, pops the Lincolns, then he gets roared. it's still a pretty dire situation for the Drow to be into. But he also knows that all he needs to do is really survive at this point. Doesn't want to go all in for an Agi Blink or a Butterfly. It's just one of the better items he could look for. He's already very stat efficient. He does 300 damage. I mean, he hits really hard. Got a Ninja Gear as well, so even more Agi and movement speed to work around with. But what we got to look at on the other side, though, Alliance 50 seconds on their Aegis. They would love to take a poke at high ground, but they're afraid of Thunder Awaken. They're afraid of tossback. They're afraid of getting caught up, going into the techies. It's fear that is definitely warranted. It's an easy way for them to lose the game. They pop their BKBs on that first life, or even just get stuck where they're slotting in a BKB on the second life. Could die very easily and throw the game.
And it does mean that they don't get a definitive team fight win. They don't get any sort of kills or tower pushes, but they bought time to farm. Right? They picked up some big items, so on that front, you're still going to be happy. And also, considering the fact that Thunder Awaken weren't able to take that Aegis and press their own advantage, you're going to be pretty happy as Kitaro. Okay. Full Bloodthorn picked up here, so I mean, if you don't have your BKB at the ready, Kitaro's just going to kind of burn through people very quickly.
He has continued to become that ultra carry. You see it in his CS, you see it in his kills. I mean, he's 11-0-0. He's been on his own for most of this game. It's where, unfortunately, on Thunder Awaken, because Illich has been taking so much of the map, Knight is not as big. He is not as farmed. He is not as damage-oriented either. He's had to force himself into utility, as well as Illich has forced himself into more of that utility build. If Illich had a Satanic, a Daedalus, and an AC right now, as opposed to some of the items in his inventory, he could probably fight the CK, but because he is playing more of that offlane Nature's Prophet, he is not ready to be that secondary carry, unfortunately, for Thunder Awaken. Instead, he is just going to try and help out and prop up Knight as much as he can, and we'll see if that's the right choice, or if it is time for him to become more of that damage dealer. Meanwhile, he's cutting a creep wave in top with his ulti and his Nature's Call, still being very annoying. Illich has been annoying the entire game. He's going to continue to be annoying.
Nature's Prophet always gets to do Nature's Prophet things, unless you're just getting absolutely stomped, which Thunder Awaken or not. Although, Michael may disagree. He is going to get bullied. Quick and easy kill there in the river. Kitaro beyond godlike now at 12-0. Yeah, his sacrifice does allow them to retake the outpost. The question is, ET can actually hold this area for very long. They are going to try a fight. Vitaly gets locked down initially, but he's able to drop the roar. No, he's not. The Lincoln Spear comes in, but that means the Reality Rift connects, but Michael's there. Able to jump in. Gets off the Avalanche. That forces Kitaro's BKB, but he is still pushing. Still trying to get onto Knight, but quickly realizing, I don't have any backup, because all of his teammates died.
Yeah, and I think if they have a Hawk coming here, I felt like that was just going to be Alliance walking in, getting the D ward with their gem, Thunder Awaken losing another ward, but they show both of their supports for a second. RoboZ kills both of them, sets up as well for the Pango to get taken out early by the Hex from Illich. That was just the worst. Their backline shattered. We saw a roar for a second there, but it was so split up. And with the supports going down so early and so quickly, that was like 600 damage from the Wrath of Nature onto the support, and then a remnant each. That was nothing from Thunder Awaken. That was just over in the blink of an eye, and now they're just onto the tier 3s. And, well, no glyph. They glyphed from before. Is this just megas? Like, this is ridiculous. And they're even going for the bottom lane instead because they know that top's already weak. Alliance are dumbstruck. They don't know what to do. They got to do something, but this is awful.
Kitaro cannot die here. Gotta try and protect him. The Phantasm Illusions are still just beating the absolute crap out of Michael, but they found a better target. The roar is in. And they got the order of operations right this time. I think that was an issue with their last fight, as Michael does manage to TP out. The roar popped the Lincolns, and then he went for the Reality Rift, but Reality Rift pulls the Drow back, but didn't actually stop her from running away. This time, Rift breaks, and then the roar is there in full effect. So, able to actually get the kill. They did still lose a lane and a half of Rax, but not as bad as it could have been, I suppose.
Yeah, and a little bit baity there. I think especially from Illich. He was ultra safe. He didn't want to show up to that fight at all because he didn't have BKB. A luxury that nobody told Knight about until it was already a little bit too late. Didn't even get a buyback out of Alliance. Just kind of got a little bit lazy there with the heroes respawning. But, you know, could be worse. Gem still escaped. Michael was able to make it out and still has control of it right now. And Roche will not leave us alone. 4th Roche of the game, 45 minutes into this game. It's insane. It's ridiculous. As, look at this, Excel might just be a freebie.
Mystic Flare deployed. Guitarro gets the kill. Somebody's going to check Roche here, and look at all the goodies that Roche has in his bag here. You got the Aegis, you got the cheese, you got a Refresher Shard, you've got a full Aghanim's Blessing, although...
Does have buy.
Well, if they get this, I guess Guitarro takes it? I don't know. Well, hold on. Let's see if they get it first, because Michael's into the pit. They're going to try and fight for it. Vitali's already gone down, and RoboZ's the one to grab the Aegis. Guitarro, you got to get the hell out of here. He did pop the shard, though, so he is able to refresh and TP away. So at least you have that going for you. You did get your carry out, but 3 heroes die. Buybacks are not available on 2 of the cores. And Thunder Awaken, I mean, they pounce perfectly, and Alliance.LATAM were so focused in, ET, tunnel visioning on getting the Roche killed off in time before Thunder Awaken get there, that they didn't actually send anyone out to check if Thunder Awaken were coming.
No, the cores die in the pit. They don't get the roll off. They don't get the BKB off on the Beastmaster. They just got completely mollywopped by the Tiny's Avatos combo. And now you're Megas. You don't have Glyph for another minute. That's it. There's no defense over that.
Did you just say mollywopped?
Of course I did.
Oh, man. Okay.
But then Guitarro makes it away with the Ags, but that's it. That's all you got. There's still an Aegis on the Ember. There's a cheese. They've got everything. They've got Nocturne Core and Illich. The game is ending. You gotta go, Alliance.
They want to wait. Vitali's up in 5. Maybe this tier 4 buys them that much time, but they've got to go now. They could afford to wait for Vitali. They cannot afford to wait for Analog. They've got to make a play. There's going to be your upgraded Phantasm coming out, so they do have... No, they don't. All the illusions are immediately gone. Hex down onto the CK. He is in trouble. Can they save him? No. Guitarro's dead. Gardeck's dead. That might just be it. I mean, they're buying back on everyone that they've got left. Vitali does come in for the roar, but Guitarro a little bit delayed on the follow-up. Analog, though, does try to roll in. If they can kill the Drow, maybe they've got a chance, but they've got to deal with the other cores. The Ancient, meanwhile, has been exposed, but it's only creeps hitting it. But at this point, Alliance.LATAM starting to run out of gas. Guitarro's got to do all of the heavy lifting here. Analog is by his side, but he's already used the roll, so his damage is limited, but they are trying their best. They're getting onto Illich. They're dropping him low, but the Ancient, 600 health, 500 health, 300 health. Can they save it? They're going to pop the Glyph. Oh my god, RoboZ. He is dancing. Can he buy enough time? The creeps just keep on hacking away at it. Analog is doing everything he can, ET, but the Ancient is still dying, and it's going to go down. Well, I mean, hell, that was about as entertaining as an ending as you're gonna get, and Thunder Awaken are very fortunate that the creeps finished the job for them, because they were down to RoboZ on about 100 health, but they get it, they take the win, they take the series, but it was wild at the end there.
No, pretty crazy stuff. Just great Roche play. Coming into that fight, I could watch that initiation 1,000 times. Just seeing Michael get in there early, the combination, the perfect time ulti from Illich, everything just hit on the exact same tick, and it just caught Alliance completely off guard. There was just no reaction, no curl up, no BKB, nothing. They were so set on getting that Roche done before the Drow respawned that they created the perfect storm for Thunder Awaken to take it. And then Guitarro even makes away with half of the goodies, but it just doesn't matter. If there's no buyback on Analog or Vitali to fight over the Megas, then the Megas are coming in even faster because they get claimed. And then even though Thunder Awaken get a little bit sloppy, their execution at the end of the game, it doesn't matter. They have too much of an advantage. They played too well up until that point. They get really sloppy, and that's why it looks so close. But they also know that they've got buybacks. They've got enough in the tank. They just claimed 2 racks, both 2 4s. They've got the gold to play around with. I think Excel is the only one who wouldn't have had buyback if Alliance got their revenge play going. But it is yet again a situation that's just too much for Alliance. Thunderwave can play too good up until that point. Especially Illich, gotta give him props, but also Robo Z, second Ember Spirit, different guy, not burning, but still fulfilled that same role in really his play in that one initiation they had where they killed both supports in Vitali and Analog outright. It's just too much. And the Ember Spirit, I think, is really just going to be a hero maybe at the top of the list for bans coming into Alliance's maybe next series. But I think with that, Alliance's life in this tournament is now looking real grim.
Yeah. Robo Z top damage by honestly a pretty sizable margin. He's like 5 or 6k ahead of Kitaro there. So the Brood, the Lina, they're getting banned out. Some respect to the Treant over and over again, ET. But these Phase 1 Ember Spirits just keep on delivering. So, as you say, for Alliance and maybe for some of these teams in general, might be a hero that you start considering as a Phase 1 ban, although we don't really have a whole lot of wiggle room with Phase 1 bans right now, right? You kind of do need to nail down the same 3 to 4 every time.
Yeah, no. It's where I think especially the Treant Ember opening is just a little bit too strong. It's where Ember is fulfilling that same role as the Pango, except it is also a lane answer to the Pango. And I think RoboZ, that's kind of the big difference here between him and Burning is I think RoboZ held his ground a little bit more earlier on into the game than Burning was able to versus Analog. And, maybe you say mid diff a little bit, but it's also where Analog is just a much more historied player, and so is Robo Z. So it makes the matchup look a little bit closer. But also, Illich just kind of did his own thing. I mean, man's 40k net worth into this game, all 40k net worth that he worked for as well. The Nature's Prophet continues to just plague our tournament and make the games look very difficult for the team that has to play against it. He's just successful in everything he does. Another hero that probably is at the top of the list of those bans, even though there's just so many heroes we got to ban now. We need this patch.
You're going to let something through because it's getting out of hand. But yeah, who knows? That patch is coming sometime, eventually, you would assume. Between now and the heat death of the universe, we'll be getting a patch in. But Alliance.LATAM unfortunately dropped the ball here. 0-2 loss when they really could not afford it. They're not eliminated yet, but they will be paying very close attention to our next series, ET. It's going to be Infinity versus Dreamers. A couple of squads that are ahead of Alliance.LATAM in those standings, and based on the results, could actually end Alliance's run here. So that is going to be the next best of 2. We'll be getting that one to you in about 10 minutes here, so stick around, and see you on the other side of the break.